Well, welcome back to the podcast, Colli Talks Transformative Conversations. I'm your host, Colli, and this is a space where we peel back the layers of high achievement, corporate drive, systemic loops to ask the ultimate question. Does your ego serve your soul, or does your soul serve your ego? Today, we are breaking down what it actually means to learn from our bones, moving beyond, totally beyond the frantic hustle and stepping into true unshakable sovereignty. We're exploring the unseen dynamics of leadership, the hidden tax of overfunctioning, and how to build and align your wealth with your wellness before burning yourself down to the ground. Today, I have this most amazing guest. I'm sharing the boardroom stage with an absolute powerhouse. My guest is an inspirational speaker, a certified principles coach, a dare to lead trainer, and the founder of CEO of Corliss Consulting. She is a best-selling author, no surprise there, and she is also the Lead Your Life woman who brings Lead Your Life to many places. And Saskatoon was blessed to have her a few years ago, and she's coming back. More on that later. But most recently, Coralist stepped onto the global stage to deliver a deeply moving TEDx talk. Please welcome to this sacred space the extraordinary Corliss Rassyle. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. What an introduction. Wow, I'm so honored. Thank you.
So deserving, girl, so deserving. I'm so thrilled to have you with me, my audience, which is now your audience. And I was going to ask you, Corliss, you teach people how to lead your life, right? With purpose and confidence. But as a systemic facilitator, I often see people trying to lead a life that isn't actually theirs, and they're running on a treadmill, and of, parental expectations or ancestral survival patterns to prove their worth before you found your true authentic voice. Whose life were you maybe unconsciously trying to lead?
I would say that's such a great question to start this. Wow, we're going to dive right in. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would say that I was living to society standards. So what I thought was expected of me to be successful, to be loved, to be enough. I was chasing all the things, and I don't know where they came from, but it was pretty much just a cultural expectation, I think. So we all have those things that we, of course, want our parents to be proud of us. We want, people that are mentors in our lives to feel good about who we are and be proud of us. But for me, the shaping of what I did and what I was doing in my life was really about chasing success, getting enough money, building the big house, having the family, doing it all to feel like I was enough. And it wasn't until I had everything kind of fall apart that I realized that, to be honest.
Wow. Very interesting. So when you say fall apart, do you mind expanding on that?
Oh, totally. I'm an open book. You can ask me anything about that.
Okay, I love it.
I lived my whole life really just trying to, measure up, really,
Right.
is what I would call it. So it's like we have this invisible measuring stick that we're trying to get enough money, be successful, get the promotion, win the award, all because we want this external validation that we're good enough and that we're
Right.
successful in our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I chased that. I chased that for my whole life. So I chased that even when I think back to being in school. I, had to win every track meet and be first place, or it wasn't enough, and then it extended into have a career where I would, be the top of the success ladder. And I would chase all these things. And it was honestly exhausting. And I got it all and I kept it all together, but it was hard and I was struggling in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I turned 40 years old, I had been married for 20 years. I have this big, beautiful dream home. I've got 3 kids. I've got the title of regional vice president. There's all these amazing things that I've accomplished. And like I already said, I was struggling to keep that all together. And then it all kind of fell apart. My business was on the decline. Suddenly I find myself getting divorced. I leave my big dream home and I'm living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 kids, trying to figure out how I'm going to start my life over.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when I talk about life was leading me instead of me leading my life. Because up to that point, that's exactly what it was happening. Everything outside of me, expectations, beliefs that I was carrying, were telling me what I had to do
Mm.
versus what I really wanted to do. And it was in that time when everything kind of fell apart where I said, okay, what are the choices that landed me here?
Mhm.
Because life has been my choice. Yes, I've been letting it lead me to this point. And what do I want this to look like moving forward? If I could do this any way that I chose to do, because it is my life to lead, what exactly would I do? And that was the turning point for me. That's when I decided I'm going to lead my life. And that means being very intentional about who I am, what I bring to the world, what I really want outside of all of the opinions and expectations that I've believed for a long time.
Mhm.
And instead really grounding myself in my own desires and what I really wanted.
Love it, love it. As women, we we are often conditioned into overfunctioning, saying yes to everything and building these empires and running our physical bodies completely into the ground to prove our values. And you are a dare to lead trainer, which requires immense courage. And so I want to know, what is the bravest, hardest no that you've ever had to say in your career to protect your own peace and physical well-being?
Mm. Actually, to myself,
Oh.
because I am such a doer. I'm so ambitious. And I love that about myself. As a matter of fact, I'll take you back to Dare to Lead training. So
Mhm,
I'm in
mhm,
this certification program and I'm getting this training. And one of the exercises was for us to take a list of, I think, about 80 values and to go in on our own and to just really assess which of the two values are most important to you. And I did that, and of course, you can imagine how hard it is because when you have that many values, I mean, there's so many great values, right?
right.
And to bring it back to just 2 was a real challenge for me.
Mm,
And as I was in this breakout, like doing my exercise that I was supposed to do, I kept coming back to this one value. And I was like, "Oh, I don't really love that that's the value that I really value, but it is." And I kept struggling internally with myself, like, "What is this value? Why?" You know? So we came back out of the breakout rooms, and immediately I was thinking, please don't call on me to share my value because I don't want to share it. I'm kind of embarrassed by it. And sure enough, the facilitator said, "Hey, Corliss, will you share what are your two values?" And I said, I was just really hoping you were going to call on me because this
uh,
value, kind of freaks me out to share it out loud. I don't really want people to see it. And she said, "Okay, how come? Because it wouldn't be on this values list if Brené Brown herself didn't think it was an important value."
mhm,
So she said,
mhm,
"What is it?" And I said, "You know what? It's ambition." And ambition is such a big, important thing for me because for me, what ambition means is to bring the best of myself to absolutely everything
mhm,
and to be the best leader, to call myself to be that way. And she said, "Well, why are you embarrassed by that?" And I said, "Because like kindness is a better value and love is a better value." And she said, "Why do you think that?" And I said, "Well, because they're more genuine, they're better, and she said, "Yeah, but ambition gets a bad rap, really, because we have been conditioned to think it's about greed. And from your
mhm,
perspective, it's not. It's
mhm.
not about steamrolling over anyone. Ambition is just about bringing my best in every value that I have to the world." So
Right.
to come back to your question, I've had to actually stop myself and get grounded in, why am I doing this? What really matters here? Why is this important to me? And to stop myself because my natural state is actually to be ambitious and to do it all.
Mm, interesting. I love it. I love it, and I love that the no, like you say, came from you, right? To you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself.
Mhm.
Oh, like, it's so easy to get caught up in all of the external things, and we want to do them, and we have these expectations of ourselves, and, I hit the age of 55 now where I'm like, I know I'm in the second half of my life for
Mhm,
sure.
mhm.
So, I have to, like, really do everything that is in my heart and really follow that, and it can make me forget to
Right.
pause for long enough to say, "Okay, does this really align with who you are, who you want to be, what matters to you. Is there a purpose to this? I have to actually reel myself in quite often.
Right.
And I love that I'm ambitious. Don't get me wrong. I think it's one of my best qualities. I think I
Mhm.
get stuff done. I think I, go over the top and deliver. And I love that about myself. And it does make me achieve. But I do have to stop myself and say, okay, get grounded in what matters, why this matters, and are you aligned with that completely in your actions?
Right. And, it's so apropos, right? You work with so many high achieving women and entrepreneurs through, your consulting. And in my work, I often see a direct link between a woman who handles her emotional boundaries and how she handles her financial flow. And so, many women scale their businesses but end up burning their physical systems into the ground to sustain this. So
Mhm.
from what you've seen on the ground, why do high achieving women struggle so much to allow financial abundance to feel peaceful rather than frantic,
I think there's a common thread. Now, I'm going to speak to my own experience here
right?
because this was my truth. And this is my truth. And it's a lot of people as I coach, as I mentor, as I
Mhm.
support people, I realize that this is a lot of why we do it. Underneath, somewhere in there, we
Mm.
feel like we're not enough.
Mm.
And that was certainly the case for me. So when I peel back the layers of like, why was I going overboard? Why was I giving more than I really, really wanted to? I just felt like I had to. I felt like I got to give more. I got to give more. I got to give more. And I got to do my best. And I got to bring my best. And I got to over the top all the time. And when I peel back the layers of like, why do I do that? Well, it came down to I don't feel enough. So
Mm.
I have to do more. So then I go and I do more and I achieve more. And it works for a little while, feel good for a little bit, but then it fizzles out because underneath, I don't feel like I'm enough.
Mm.
So when I really peeled it back and said, why are you doing this, Corliss? And it's like somewhere in me, I feel like I had to prove something.
Mhm.
And that would make me overachieve and that would make me overgive and it would make me not have boundaries
Right.
and it would make me accept things that weren't acceptable just because I felt like I needed to, because underneath I didn't feel like I was enough. And I think it's a common thread. I've coached a lot of people and it's a lot of layers before they discover what's the real truth here about what I really believe about myself and why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And it's been common for sure. It's come up a lot. We do it
Interesting.
because we really feel at our core that we're not enough, so we have to prove that we are.
Wow. Yeah, so true, hey. Oh, excuse me. I was just gonna mention the fact that, you're not only a success principles coach and best-selling author, right? And so much of our definition of success isn't actually ours, it's inherited. And so
Mhm.
sometimes we carry the unspoken financial vows or the survival patterns and limitations of generations that came before us. And so when you specifically look at your own lineage, like your mothers and your grandmothers, what, what was the generational rule about money or hard work that you had to actively, break in order to prosper in your own right?
Survival and scarcity.
Mm,
So there's never enough.
okay.
There's never enough, so you have to keep working hard. I mean, from my grandmother to my mother to my family to my upbringing, it's like they came from nothing,
Hmm.
and they had to work the land and they had to do everything that they had to do just to survive.
Right.
So there wasn't enough. You hope that there was. You work really hard. You create more, and you have just enough to survive. And
Right.
that becomes a pattern in that's passed down generation to generation, right?
Hmm.
And it wasn't until I really started doing deep inner personal growth work where I had to say to myself, okay, where does this come from? Have I always actually been provided? I've actually always had enough to survive for sure. And the thing with survival is that sometimes you do have to survive. Like
Hmm.
sometimes you have to push through. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do just to survive. But because we're creatures of habit, what ends up happening is it becomes a way of life. And we don't even realize it. It's like we've fallen into a way of thinking, behaving, and showing up in the world that we're just surviving all the time. We're living as if we're just surviving when the crisis that put us there is past, but we're still in that mode. And that was certainly the case for me. Like, I've been an entrepreneur for 33 years now. I can't believe I'm
Wow.
saying that. 33 years.
Wow, wow,
I
good for
have been
you.
able to do my business through being married and living in that kind of environment that was really not good and dysfunctional and toxic, and surviving that, to still run my business, to look after my children. And then I become a single mom, and I've got to survive that. If you're an entrepreneur, you know the roller coaster that's involved with highs and
Mhm.
lows of business. I've survived a pandemic. So recognizing myself that I have a tendency to just fall into survival mode, I will pause again and lead my life and my business and say, okay, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I'm so scared and I'm just trying to survive? Or am I doing this because it actually aligns with who I am and the purpose that I have for my life and my business? And by doing that, I can actually shift myself out of survival mode. So to
Wonderful.
to bring it back,
Yep.
really, survival mode is about, we have a crisis happens, a situation, we find ourselves in situations where we really need to push through and survive. So we do that. And my mom did that, my grandma did that, my great grandmother did that. We do that. But then it becomes a way of life, it becomes a way of being. And now that we have this knowledge, because that's certainly what's been happening through the generations in my family, I
Mhm.
have this knowledge. I can break this pattern, not only for myself, but for generations that follow me.
Yes, especially like you say with regards to, paying it forward with your upcoming your grandchildren, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it's huge because we do pay it forward and actually we do pay it backward as well. So that's the beauty of it, right? And
Mhm.
those shifts happen whether people are alive or deceased. They just it's energy. It's total energy. What we
I
shift.
have to share something with you right now
Yeah,
because it's
please do.
certainly coming to me. Because so my grandma, I tell the story in one of my keynotes actually. My grandma was a real light in my life. As a matter of fact, my middle name is Helen, and Helen means bearer of light. And
Mm.
my grandma, her name is Helen, and I'm named after her.
Oh,
So
wow.
when my grandma was sick, so she got sick and she was only had a few months to live.
Mhm.
And I went to see her in the hospital, and she said, my aunties were at the apartment at that time, and they were cleaning out her apartment, and she said, "You have to go get that lamp. There's a lamp that you have to go and get." And I was like, "What lamp, grandma?" Like, I didn't even remember it. She said, "That lamp that you gave me." So
Mm.
I go to the apartment. I remember the lamp when I see it, and I'm like, "Oh, yes." So then I'm walking around my house trying to figure out where I'm gonna put this lamp, that grandma wants me to have. And
Mhm.
I find a place in my office that actually is behind me every single day when I come to work. And that lamp is a representation of my grandma and where I come from, because I feel every single day that I would not be doing what I'm doing. I would not be who I am today if it hadn't been for my grandma. So
Aw.
I put this lamp in my office. I go back to the hospital a couple of days later, and grandma's very sick. And she looks up at me and she said, "Did you get the lamp?" And I said, "You know what, grandma, I did. And every time I turn it on, it's like you're there. It's like your light is
Mm.
there with me." Because here's the backstory to this. My grandma worked at Kresge's. She was a single independent woman, lost her husband, had to survive so much in her life. And grandma, when she passed away, left $1,000 for me. So it was an inheritance that was left
Mhm.
for me. And I used that $1,000 to restart my life after the 40 years old, when I getting divorced and starting my life over and trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I used
Mm.
that $1,000 to go to Tony Robbins.
Wow.
I go to Unleash the Power Within using my grandma's $1,000. And often I talk about, people look at me and say, "Oh, you're creating these experiences, and thank you so much for the work that you do." And I'm like, it is my light, but really, is it? Or is it my grandma's light? Because
Mhm.
I wouldn't even be on this path if it wasn't for my grandma, who gave me that $1,000 to restart my life. I invested it in that, and it set me on a journey here to be who I am today, to bring who I am and all the skills and everything that I've learned to the world. So I think it's my grandma's light, not
But
really mine.
what a beautiful story, and I mean, and you're living it, right? Because like you say, the light is there and yeah, it's like passing the torch.
And
right?
grandma didn't even know she did that, and I think sometimes we think we're insignificant, you know?
Mhm.
I think sometimes we don't know. I mean, grandma is such a simple woman, she never even drove a car in her lifetime. You know, she was just an ordinary lady, and she probably didn't know, you know, what was gonna happen, like, through that, like, through her light shining through me and the impact that it would have. So, sometimes we have to I guess my grandma and my mom actually have
Mm,
really taught me that no matter who we are, what we matter. And everything that we do matters. And we all have this power that's so incredibly beautiful. And it goes far beyond what the eye can see. But we
mhm.
have to just trust it's there, even if we don't know for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like, let the light lead your way, right?
Hmm.
Mhm. Lead your way. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there you
And you
go.
yeah, and you recently checked massive milestone off your vision board by standing on that TEDx stage. And, I you openly shared with, the audience that preparation was much harder than you expected, right?
It
and
was, yeah.
and deeply challenged you. And so I'm just wondering,
Mm.
because of the fact that when we step into a massive public spotlight, our nervous system, of course, actually interprets the sudden visibility possibility of danger, triggering an old survival bracing mechanism. And when you were preparing to deliver your message to the world, what parts of your old protective armor did you have to consciously lay down so your true essence could be seen on that stage?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, that's a deep question. And you know what, Collie, I'm gonna be really honest,
Mhm.
when that TEDx comes out, because it hasn't even been released yet,
Right? Mhm.
I'm gonna see I'm hoping that in retrospect, I'm hoping that I can look back and go, "There's so much value in that talk." So, here's the thing, the TEDx preparation was really challenging, and I had to just allow myself to be in the process
Mhm.
because that is not normally how I speak. I don't rehearse lines, I don't memorize, I don't check points off. Like a TEDx talk is very structured, right?
Mhm.
Like they want you, it has an exact amount of minutes, it has an exact flow, there has to be certain key points to it. And obviously, I prepare for when I speak as a keynote speaker, but it was a different process for me. So I had to just really take down the armor of like, I know this, and just allow myself to be in a different way of doing it.
Mm.
And it was very challenging. I am not someone who speaks from my head, I'm someone who speaks from my heart. And
Mhm.
it was requiring me to speak from my head because I had to rehearse it and be able to deliver it from the emotional state, but actually do it from a script in my head that was memorized. So it was probably one of the hardest things that I have actually ever had to do in my career. I'm not
Wow.
afraid of the visibility. I've overcome that completely. I am very comfortable to speak on stages. I'm very comfortable to speak on social media, even doing lives, doing a podcast like this. I'm very comfortable with that. But there was a time when I wasn't. I mean,
Right?
I had to like gear myself up for days to be able to do it. And then, even then, I would critique myself to the point where I'd be like, I have to take it down. Like,
Mm.
I can't do it, you know? So
Mhm.
I've certainly become comfortable within myself to be able to just show up and be who I am, and that's what personal growth and development does, is like, you worry less about what other people think and more about who you are,
Mhm.
and loving who you are allows you to show up in the world in a more authentic way, right?
Right.
So the TEDx was a challenge in that way. Now, the one thing about that talk that is very special about it is the message.
Oh.
And the message is something the world needs to hear. And I have accepted the idea that I am the one to bring it to the world.
Oh.
And it is a completely different spin on anything anybody's ever heard or ever taught, and I'm the one to verbalize it. So I very much was in my head about that, and that was actually the challenge that I had to get over. I
Okay.
had to get over myself to be able to deliver it, not just from a script, but
Right.
from that place within myself, that the identity that I am actually the person to bring this to people.
Oh, how
And
exciting.
I've had to embrace it, and we'll see if I delivered it the way that I hope it's able to, that the way it deserves to be shared. I
Mm.
don't know. I don't know. It was overwhelming. So I'm not really sure. I look back on it, I'm like, did I even say that? Did I get all the lines? I'm not really sure. I guess we'll find out when the talk comes out, you know?
It's gonna be great. I can tell you right now, it's gonna be great. Yeah,
But
yeah.
if it isn't, here's what I'm gonna do. I've
Okay,
actually already decided this because I've had
alright.
to really process it. I'm gonna bring that message, but I'm gonna bring it the way that I would normally bring it. Maybe it won't be on a TEDx, but I'm gonna bring that message to the world.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, I love it. When does it come out?
Well, they're saying the first week of June or so, so around
Oh,
June 7th, but
oh, wow.
it's not a hard fast date. I think it's whenever they get them ready, I guess, because 'cause they're releasing them all at once, and there was 12 talks, so
Oh, okay, okay. Well, looking forward to it, and so will the audience that are
thank
listening
you.
today. Absolutely, I will share more information on that when you share that with me, and maybe we can talk again about it. I was gonna ask you with regards to your in Dare to Lead, right? Brené
Yes.
Brown, she talks extensively about vulnerability,
Mm,
how even in my work, with trauma, it really requires vulnerability. It isn't an emotional choice. It requires a safe, regulated nervous system. And so
mm,
for a leader, such as yourself, who is currently in chronic, well, not you, but for a leader who is in current chronic physical pain or completely overwhelmed by their schedule, and as you as a leader, knowing that their vulnerability feels like a threat, how do you help a leader from a state of survival and bracing into a state where, they can actually just safely drop their guard?
you said a really key word, and I've been thinking about League Conference with this actually because safe.
Mm,
Safe is the big word.
right.
I think that the one thing that we need to all really embrace when we're in that kind of panic state, like you say, the nervous system is completely freaking out
Mhm.
and we don't even know what to call it. We just need to be safe. We need to put ourselves in safe environments
Right.
and need to feel safe within ourselves. So we need to like breathe and calm ourselves down. We need to really get kind of grounded again. And that requires like a sense of safety. Vulnerability and being honest about what's going on, it has to start with you. So, a lot of times, people will be like looking outside of themselves for like something that's going to make them feel better.
Right.
But I personally think that safety has to start with you. You have to feel safe with yourself. You have to feel safe with your emotions. You have to like become quiet and still long enough to just be like, what's really going on here? And
Mm.
what's the real truth around this,
Mhm.
Because nothing has real meaning unless the meaning that we give it. And a
Right.
lot of times when we're in that state of like freaking out, I'll call it, not a very professional word, but we're
But
freaking out
it's
internally.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're freaking out internally. And it's
Yeah.
like, hey, just stop for a second and just say to yourself, like, what's really going on here? Like, what's the story I'm telling myself about this? Why do I feel this way? And then that's when you can really start to feel that safety because you can just realize that you have all the power to give meaning to things or to make a new decision or to change how you're seeing it or to release it completely. That power lies with you.
Right. Absolutely. And, I was in a relationship that ended, and the person I was in the relationship with, you know, asked me, "Why won't you come back?" And I said, "Well, it's about trust." And he goes, "Well, you can trust me." And I said, "No, no, no, you don't understand. It's not about me trusting you. It's about me trusting myself. That
Mm,
I won't fall into the same pattern with you when I come back. So
mm,
it's not about you. It's about me trusting me and feeling safe within me."
mm.
Right?
Good for
So
you.
yeah, yeah. So, you you've brought over 600 people together for, the launch of Lead Conference Canada right here in Saskatchewan. And
Over
that's
700 actually.
700. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
sorry. My
Yeah, that's
research.
okay. Yeah, all good.
A massive high energy feed, and you're about to do it again. So
Yeah.
when you are holding a room that large, you aren't just holding the energy of individuals, you're holding the collective weight of their struggles, their self-doubt, and their desire
Mm,
for more, right? So
mhm.
how do you systemically discharge all that collective energy? when the conference ends so that you,
Oh,
so that you, Corliss, the human being and mother, can come all the way back home to herself?
okay. You have no idea how powerful this question is, and I have to take you back in order because
Okay.
I
Yeah,
a lot of
please
the
do.
things that we learn in our lives, the things that I'm sharing with people now
Mhm.
are hard-lived lessons, actually.
Right.
So, originally doing Lead Conference Canada, it was all in service of other people, okay? So, I never once lost sight of the purpose, and even when my ego got in there and it was like, you know, trying to, like, make it happen and things like that, I'd be like, "Okay, just stop. Just stop for a second. What is the purpose of this?" And I just envision the audience and, this is so much bigger than me. I'm here to serve them. And I was really in service of them. It was like the heart of everything that we were doing there. And it was a year and a half process. Actually, it took about 2 years of my life to produce an event of that caliber because this is not an ordinary event by any means. This is
Mhm.
literally a production and a process that I take people through in an immersive personal growth experience. So when they come in the door, I know the things that they're collectively struggling with, and I know what I want them to leave with by the time it's over, and I build it backwards. It's very beautiful. It's very special, and I 100% have embraced the fact that I'm here to do it. So I went to do that conference. I did it, and when it was done, I had planned a week off afterwards,
Okay.
and that was so foolish. I was honestly I actually call myself a shell of a human being for over a year after that. I had burned myself out to the point there was honestly nothing left to me. I
Oh.
had nothing more to give. It was so exhausting. I was so tired. I when you have a big vision and you meet that big vision and that goal,
Mhm.
it's a natural process as well after to go, "Okay, what's next?" Like, that's over. I got nothing now, you know? So
Mhm.
not only did I have nothing within me, but I also had nothing outside of me. I had nothing I was working towards after that. I did the big thing.
Right.
And that happens to a lot of people, like whether they're going for the big promotion or they're going for getting the big house and the family and the doing all the things. And it's like, hey, now what? Right? It's like, what's next? And we just don't know. So we feel very lost and very depleted or defeated. Like it's like I envision it like a helium balloon. It's like you pop the balloon, you,
Yeah.
you get the prize, and then it's like,
Right.
poof, it's
Oof.
gone, right? And it's like,
Right.
now what? You're just sitting here on the ground, have no idea what to do. So I was both internally and externally really challenged. And it was like a whole year before I started feeling like myself again, of like a lot of rest and just trying to figure out what's next now. And a lot of work. And here's the thing, in that 2 years since I held that conference, I could not let it go. In my heart of hearts, I was like, I want to do it again. And it's like, why? Why would you ever want to do that to yourself? And my family was worried about me. And, they're like, don't do it
Mhm.
again. It's so much pressure. And even carrying the financial pressure of it, because I carry the financial pressure mostly myself.
Mhm.
And it's like, how do I do all of this? Right. And here's what I've realized. So, in that 2 years since I held it, I made a decision to do it again.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because I am called to do it.
Right.
And I can't let it go in my heart because I'm supposed to do it. But I can't do it the same way I did it before. I can't do it where I'm sacrificing myself to the point that I'm not good for a whole year after that. So, it's taken two things. The first thing is actually three things. The first thing is making a decision. Because sometimes when we're in indecision, we're actually torturing ourselves. It's like a form of self torture. I was
Mm.
going back and forth and back and forth, and I was actually causing my own turmoil and my own stress
Right.
because I was indecisive about whether I should or shouldn't do it. So, number one, making the decision helped. That was the first thing. I'm going to do it, realizing I am called to do this, and I just have to step into it and decide to do it. So, that was the first thing. The second thing was making a decision that I'm not only just serving the audience, but I'm serving myself in the process.
I love it.
So I'm not allowing myself to work 18-hour days. I'm not allowing myself to not have time to really sit and just really think about what I want it to look like and what I want to feel like. And I'm really giving myself the space to serve myself as well. So taking time off before we came onto this call, I was staining. And you know what? I was staining in my yard, making my home beautiful instead of working, which 2 years ago when I was creating this, I would have never done that.
Love it.
So it gave myself I'm giving myself space to just enjoy the process and to take care of myself in the meantime, take care of my home, not be working 24/7. So that was the second part of this.
Mhm.
The third part, and probably the most important thing, is that it's not about one event. This
Right.
is my life's work. And I do this work sometimes when I'm writing, sometimes when I'm on a podcast, sometimes when I'm speaking, sometimes when I'm hosting an event, because I don't want the big deflate after. This
Mm.
is just one of the things that I do.
Right.
And yes, it's big. And yes, it's extraordinary. And yes, I hope people come because if they don't, they're going to regret it because they're going to hear how much it impacted people.
Right.
But it's not about just one event. This is just a part of what I do. And that has really helped me as well because now it's not just leading up to that big one thing. It's almost like the bride on her wedding day. If you're
Yeah.
like leading up and stressing about this wedding and trying to make it perfect and doing it all and giving everything to all your attention and all your energy to that one big event, and then the wedding day happens, and then after it's like, huh? Whereas now I'm
Right.
approaching it more like it's about the marriage.
Right.
It's about the marriage, not the day, you know what I mean? The
Exactly.
day is
Yeah.
gonna be extraordinary, but it's about the whole process. And, out of all of it, what it's taught me is, what's the point if we're not enjoying it? What is the
Mm.
point in doing all of these things and going for all of these things if we miss the journey? The journey is the life, is what life
Absolutely.
is. So you
Absolutely.
have to, like, stay present to that and enjoying it. So I'm really staying in the joy and I've put up boundaries and I put up decisions with myself and how I operate within this to ensure that this happens beautiful. I don't want any negative energy of any kind. And stress energy is negative energy. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I am not stressing about this. I know it's guided. I know I'm called to do it, but I also know that there's something bigger at work here than me. And
Mhm.
I'm supported by that. And I'm just trusting it.
I love it. I love it because, it was exactly you just answered my next question with regards to, behind the closed doors, the when we're over functioning and how it can leave us feeling like it did for
Mm.
you, right? Exhausted, lonely, and almost in a way that you were functioning in a rescue matriarch role in your own life. And how did you, and then, to overcome the overfunctioning was actually a form of self-sabotage. So now
Mhm.
that you've gifted yourself with the way you are progressing and going to do this next one, it reminds me that because I often talk about the someday virus, right? The illusion that we can finally rest, finally heal, or finally
Mm.
enjoy our wealth someday in the future, which just keeps us trapped as slaves to our current hustle. So, for women listening right now who has her dream book, her podcast, her legacy project stuck, inside her bones because she's too busy managing everyone else's crisis, what is the first boundary she needs to draw today?
I matter too.
Mm.
That is a decision that I had to make. And it was like, I matter too. I can't bring my best to the world
Mhm.
and create this project and do all these things if I'm not taking care of myself. I matter too. And sometimes the biggest and most important question we'll ever ask is, what do I need right now? What do
Right.
I need right now? And I'm asking myself that all the time now. It's like the big question is like, what do I need right now? I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling whatever it is that I'm feeling. It's like, okay, what do I need right now? What I need right now, maybe take a nap for 20 minutes. I can give that to myself.
Mhm.
What do I need right now? I need support from my spouse right now. What do I need right now is I need my family to give me an hour to work on my project, undivided, you know?
Right.
What do I need right now? And we can ask ourselves that every single day in the middle of our day. What do I need right now? And then just get quiet long enough to listen, like get still long enough to just take a breath and say, what do I need right now? I
Mm.
need to walk away, maybe. Maybe I need
Mm.
to just walk away for an afternoon. And you know what I've learned is that I'm way more productive when I do that.
Mhm. Yes, I
Yeah,
know
instead of,
exactly.
like, pushing through and trying to
Yeah.
force it, I can be way more creative, I'm way more productive when I put my needs in there as well and recognize that I matter too.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Our time is coming to an end. I know you've gotta go, but I wanna ask you to talk. I have 2 more questions. One is leading up to LEAD this November. Can you share with our audience what that looks like? What it's gonna be?
I would love to, and
Yeah,
actually,
please.
I wanna share because this really ties together what we've been talking about.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
TCU Theater, I wanted the best venue in the entire province, and I found it. And I've had people asking me, "Why are you holding it in Saskatchewan?" And here's how I see it. Saskatchewan, Saskatoon specifically, is the heart of the country.
Mhm.
So if you look at a map and even where it's situated, it's like we're right pretty smack dab in the middle, just a little bit over to the left, where we're in the heart of the country. And when people come here, they're going to experience something so transformational that's going to change them. And then they're going to fly out to their respective homes and we're going to create a ripple effect across the country because I truly believe in the power of every individual. And when I can impact you and create an experience that impacts you, you're going to take it with you and it's going to impact in your home, in your community, in your work. So that's why I'm holding it here. So that's the
Oh,
first thing.
wonderful. Great.
Now, the venue actually holds 2,100 people.
Wow.
I was really like, a part of me was like, let's sell it out. Let's get 2,000 people in the same space, 2,100 people. Let's sell every single seat. And I've actually changed my goal since then. And I'll tell you why. First of all, it's not about numbers. It's not about anything like that. It's more about what I believe is at work here.
Mhm.
So my goal is actually 1,111 people to attend.
Oh.
And I'm not even shaken as I say that because that's a lofty goal. But first
Mhm.
of all, I want to be able to really provide an experience that is beautiful for people. And if we grow too quickly, that's going to be difficult for me and my team. So
Right.
that's the first thing. So going from over 700 to 1,100, 1,111 is because we can manage that kind of growth and experience for people and still bring a really beautiful experience. So that's the first thing. But the other thing is that each of the ones represents something.
Okay.
So the first one is the power of you. The
Yep.
second one is the power of me.
Mhm.
The third one is the power of something bigger at work. And the fourth one is the power of us all coming together.
Oh, I love it.
1,111 is my goal. And that is just so beautiful because even in the venue, that
Mhm.
is the main floor minus the back 3 rows, because I don't want anybody sitting there because it's quite dark and the sound isn't as good there, and the
Mhm.
first balcony. So I can feel the energy of that. I can see the people. I can't see their faces, but I can feel what it's going to feel like. And I know how beautiful it is because one of the things that's so different about League Conference is that the people who are in the room want to be there.
Right.
This isn't an invitation to corporate to buy massive tickets. It's an invitation to individuals who really want to learn, grow, and discover and evolve into who they want to be. Everyone's working on something. Some of the things are internal, some of the things are external. So, what I mean by that is, internal where we're not feeling very confident. We don't really love ourselves. We don't feel like we're enough. We have these inner challenges that we're going through. And then there's the external challenges like loss, grief, navigating a divorce, financial crisis. So we have these external things. And as human beings, we're more alike than we're different. Our situations are different, our
Mhm.
circumstances and our backgrounds, but we all experience those things to some degree.
Right.
So when you bring people together that really want to be there and they're all working on something, there's a certain level of safety that comes with that immediately because you feel safe because you know everybody else is in the same experience as you. And
Mhm.
we're just coming together to kind of inspire each other, to support each other, to encourage each other, and to learn and discover who we really are or rediscover ourselves for the first time. So that's what makes this very special. It's like an energy. And because I understand, every person is coming in with their own certain thing that they're working on, but collectively, we're having a shared experience. And I create the experience based on that.
Wonderful.
So I know how I want them to leave. I want them
Mhm.
to leave feeling confident in who they are. I want to leave inspiring that anything is possible. I want to help them own their power, to recognize that they alone choose their thoughts, decisions, and actions. I want to help them and empower them to recognize that the beliefs that they've had, they can shift those and create a different life experience. I want to help them heal some things, so that's what this is all about. And as I create the experience for people, I literally choose the speakers for that outcome. I
Mhm.
build it backwards so that everybody will have someone that they learn from, whether on the stage or within the audience. It really is very special. It's
Oh,
it's
wow.
not something that it's not something that can be explained. It's something that has to be felt.
Exactly, exactly. And when is it?
November 13, 14.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's
okay.
Friday and Saturday. So we start Friday. So Friday morning, we open for registration, and there's beautiful vendors, and we have with speed friending. We have all these experiences that are already planned, even for at that time, so that people have a chance to connect ahead of time. And then we open the doors at 12:30. The program starts at 1, goes until 7 on Friday, and then on Saturday we have a full day event from 9 to 5.
Oh, wow. Sounds like a banquet of, a plethora of amazing things to choose
Honestly,
from. Yeah,
yeah. People
yeah.
ask me if they can just come for a day, or, which of the speakers. It's not about one speaker. This
No.
is literally a process, and you wanna just come with an open heart and an open mind, and know that everybody there is experiencing there for the same experience, and we're all okay. It's about being human together, let's
Mhm,
just come
mhm.
together and be human.
Yeah.
And it's really a process that I take people through, because we go from past to present to future
Mhm.
over the 2 days, and that has to be experienced. Like, you can't just come for part of it and be like, "Oh, that was good." That's
Yeah.
not what this is.
No.
This is come and immerse yourself. Allow yourself to be here for the whole thing to get the full value of the experience.
Wow. Well,
This conference, I actually attended one not last year, the year before. So in 2024, I
mhm.
attended one in a similar theater in Los Angeles, similar speaker lineup, similar overall experience. And I went back to my bookkeeper and said, I want you to tell me, like, how much did I invest in that? Like, I had to get her to pull the receipts, the flights, the ticket, the Ubers, the hotel, the US exchange. And I paid over $4,000 to go
Mm.
to that event. And I would have felt it was worth it. That's how much I
Mhm.
invested. I have ticket prices at $500, 449 actually, for people to get this experience. My entire objective of this was to make it affordable and accessible, so
Mhm.
I'm creating it here for people, so please come and get it. It'll be so worth it.
Well, I will definitely, be posting all your contact information and people can, check into it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you've gotta go, but I do have one more question, and
Totally,
that's
I'm
yeah,
totally fine.
yeah. The world, right, constantly tells us that high impact leadership has to be loud, fast, and relentless, but I'm looking at true sovereignty here, which often looks a little quiet, warm, and maybe serene. So,
Mm.
what does a soft, sovereign life look like for you when the stage lights are turned off and the laptop is closed?
Well, here with my puppy.
Mhm.
You met my Charlie ahead of
Oh,
time.
so special.
It is a lot of so in the mornings, I start my day with a short meditation. I like to have a quiet cup of coffee and get grounded in myself before I start anything else, before the world happens. I move to the lake in the summer, and I actually work from there. So
Mm.
that's where I do my best creating. And we every single day, Charlie and I walk the beaches every single day.
Oh, I love
Sometimes
it.
it's like 5-mile walk. Recently, actually, I always had a podcast in my ears, always. I was always listening to something when I was walking. I've actually stopped doing that. And I'm just now instead allowing myself to just look at the sky, breathe, watch him walk, be in
Mhm.
gratitude. And it's just like there's no listening, there's no taking in. It is 100% just being with myself on a walk. So that's another thing that I've been doing. A lot of times it's journaling. I like to get things out of my head and onto paper and really examine it.
Mhm.
So that's what a quiet life looks like to me. From my perspective, leadership is not a title or a role.
Mhm.
Leadership for me is about who you are and the impact that you have and owning your influence
Mhm.
because we're all leading in our homes, our careers, our communities.
Right.
So I have
Right.
to lead myself first, and that's how I do it. I close it all off and I just go within myself and do what I need to do to keep myself well.
Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness, girl. I could speak to you for days.
Well,
But
so can I. You
I know,
too. So
but
thank you so much for
yeah,
having
no,
me.
we will do this again. Absolutely. I definitely, am looking forward to the release of your TEDx, and also leading up to Lead. I hope that I am here this year for it, because normally in that month I'm gone, but who knows? There's always the will, there's always a way, right?
There
Absolutely.
there
So,
absolutely is,
yeah,
and you know
absolutely.
what? You can also just ask the universe to work around it,
Oh, for sure.
because, the decision when you make a decision that you're gonna do something,
Yeah.
you find a way. We all
Oh,
do. That's how it works. So,
absolutely.
I hope you do.
Absolutely. Oh, darling, thank you so much. I cannot wait to share this with our audience, which I say mine, it's now yours as well. So it's ours. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful weekend and stay blessed, girl. Stay blessed.
Oh, thank you so much. Take
Okay.
care.
Thanks, and bye bye.
Bye-bye.